So the first thing we are going to do here is we are going to change this. Maybe this is not what you exactly have on your computer, and I mean, as you guys can see, I really can't help much because it's 12 a.m. old, and I have no other go. My day was busy again, and that's the only time I have to record for you guys. Since I love you, I do it. Anyways, let's go. Let's get it. Um, and by the way, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we have a milestone to reach. I'm trying to make it to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can help me with that, I would be super happy. So let's do Firebase. I'll try this method of getting this into a list. I'm trying to get our collections into our list. Get documents. Then we're going to have snaps in here. Oh, better yet, okay, snaps. Meaning the snapshots inside of our file store, and I can just write snaps dot documents, and I want to return this. This is a list of, it's a list of course, but it's a list of, oops, document snapshots. So this is going to get us a list. Perfect. Let me put this on full screen, and then we will try everything once the code is complete. Okay. I can start running the app on my mobile, and I'll be able to view the changes from my device. Okay, perfect. Let's do the same thing we did here to our categories because the behavior is quite the same. Just a second. I'm just putting everything in place out here. Oops. Okay, perfect. So what are we going to do here is, I don't want to write this again, so I'll just copy. Go to our documents, and we will, and I'll create a variable here. I'll create a string. And ref, which is going to be our reference, and I'll just remove this and I'll put it in here. Categories, and come in here to put ref. Try to do things quick because we don't want to waste a lot of time with this. Then get category. Okay, again, get category. We're going to return file store collection ref. Then we have blah 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 blah. Perfect. Now what's the goal now? And just to make sure that this is working, okay, it's working, we don't have to make sure. I don't want to waste a lot of time doing that. Oh, we did that. Now what are we going to do is open our add product page, and right after we can start here by, let me zoom in a bit. We can start here by creating a list, brands, and at the beginning we can just create an empty list, no problem. But let's make sure that this is a list of document. Okay, I have to import something here, Cloudflare Store, before we make use of document snapshot. So come in here, copy this. So let's go to our add product page, and perfect. We're going to import here document snapshots, the type of the list we are dealing with. So at the beginning we have an empty list of the I'm sorry, so sorry. Perfect. We can do the same thing to categories. Ooh. We can do the same thing to categories. Perfect. Now let me get rid of this convert. Now let's import /db category, and we will import /db brand. Perfect. This is somehow out of the way now, and let's work with the categories first. So in here we just go to control and override methods, and we want to create initial state method. Perfect. We will create a variable in here of is going to be a list. We want to be a list of drop down menu items, and inside of our drop down menu items we want to have a string, and category or categories drop down. Okay, I can just close it. I don't want to. Oh, we can assign it to empty elements. It's going to be equal to this. Perfect. I'll copy and I will paste it, and we'll create another called brands drop down. Okay, but just to begin with, we will start with, of course, I will now create a string, and we're creating a lot of variables here called current category, which is going to show our current category, and another string called current brand. Ooh, I don't know what I wrote here. Okay, perfect. Now let's start with the category drop down, and get categories drop down. Okay, we are going to define this method, the get categories drop down method. And what are we going to do now is defining this method. I'll come just here and I'll write this drop down menu items. Okay, and we'll call it get categories drop down. It's a method. Perfect. And inside of the method we will create another variable called list. Then we will define the type of the list as drop down menu item. Okay, and in here we'll define it as a string. Perfect. And items, which are going to be equal to new list. Okay, so the items are going to be a list of items that are going to be inside of our categories drop down. Okay, perfect. Now we'll create a for loop string category in categories okay, list drop down is used type string. Okay, to solve this we will give this a document snapshot here as well. Perfect. So for each category inside of categories we are going to do the following: item dot add. We are going to insert inside of our items new drop down menu item is what we're going to insert, and the child is going to be new. Don't have to give it new. It's going to be text category brand, and for the value is going to be again category brand. Okay, and now we just need to go out of the loop and return our items. Wow, this seems or looks very complex, you may be saying, but it's not that complex. We want to create a drop down. We're providing a list, a drop down menu item that's going to have strings as the items, and in here we're creating a category or items list, and on our items list we have category, which is a document snapshot but we want a string, not a document snapshot. That's why we're doing category brand on these rectangular braces. Okay, so that's all that's happening here. Seems too complicated, but it's not that much complicated. Okay, now we shall go to the part 2 of things, which is how are we going to first of all get categories. This is a method that we're going to define now. And let's make it asynchronous. And in here, we'll have a list containing document snapshots. I did a mistake here, because here we're dealing with categories, not with brands. So here, instead of brand, you give category. Perfect. Because on our database we have this category field for our collection. You saw that on the previous video. Okay, now let's go down. We'll create a list. I'll call it data, and I'll say that it's equal to, come up here, and we will, let me just cut this stuff from there and paste it here. And here I can category service is what I'm creating here. Category service is equal to category service. Perfect. And I'll create another called brand service. It's going to be equal to brand service, which is equal to brand service. Perfect. I created 2 more variables in here. Now what are we going to do is come down here, and we want to await for our category service dot get category, which was supposed to be get categories, but anyways. And then after this we'll set categories equal to data. So we are assigning this value we're going to get from this get category method inside of the category service in here. But you know what, let me go and rename this, because it was supposed to be I can just write categories list. Nah, I'll write get categories. Perfect. And we will go back to our add, and in here I'll just put get categories, and this is going to be equal to our data. So at the beginning of our method we are calling get categories. Perfect. Now let's actually display all of the stuff we've been writing here to see if things are working perfectly. We will of course create here center child, and inside of our center child we'll create another child called drop down button. Okay, our items are going to be categories drop down. Perfect. Our value is going to be current category. Perfect. And here we'll call a method called change selected category. Okay, change selected category. We're going to define that method in a second. There's something left for us to do here, which is we have the current category, but we didn't really define what's the value of that. So I can write here current category being equal to categories drop down. We want the first element value. Perfect. So now we can go down here and let's create this method now. Let's define the behavior of what's going to happen once or since or when an item in the categories in the drop down is clicked on. So in here we will need a string called selected category, which is the category that was clicked, and we will just set our current category being equal to our selected category. Okay, is everything perfect in here? Okay, everything seems to be working just fine. And now what we have to do is basically repeat the work we did for the categories. We are going to do that work for our brand. Okay, most of it will be just copy and paste. So, but in the meantime, I'm building the app on my device to see how we are going to react to this. Okay. Now let's come in here and try to do exactly the same thing, but now for our brand. So I'll create a method here. Called get brands, and the behavior of the get brands is going to be the same as the categories. Let me do something like this to see what's happening in our app. Invalid range of for our index. Let's see what's the issue. Blah blah blah. This may have something to deal with our initial value. So I'll just put here test, then we will see what we do with that. Connection error from the server. I don't know what it does this sometimes. So okay, seems like we are not getting our value here. So let's try to troubleshoot this. Let's try to troubleshoot this. Okay, close it. Okay, we didn't define the behavior of that. Now's the time of the troubleshooting. We want to find out where are we having the issue. So let me just go to the brand, and before we return this, I want to print snaps.documents.length, just to make sure that we are getting error from the server. It does that sometimes, I don't know why. So let's go and manage, and I'll get here brand list. Okay, we are having 4 here, meaning that we are getting the values from here. Perfect. Because we actually have 4 brand names there. Perfect. This is working. So what are we going to do is, let's go back to our add product page, and even before we do this, here when we get the categories at the beginning, let's just print data.length, just to make sure that we're getting something out of this. So as soon as we open the add page, we are supposed to see 4, because that's the number of rows or entries we have on our database. We have, oh no, this is for the categories, not the brands. We have 7, meaning that this is working. Okay, perfect. We will find out where the issue is in a second. Here. And I'm starting to think that the issue now is with our drop down, not really with the brand names and stuff. Okay, now we want to make sure that our categories is not empty as well. So add category 7 both the category and this, they have values. So we have values assigned to our categories. Okay. Mm. What am I going to do now? Because the thing is, here we have current category is equal to test. So in here, we were supposed to see test at least. So what's the issue? With our drop down list? Okay, this is nothing nice. But just to make sure, or just to show to you guys that we are actually now getting the values, we can just do a simple, let me suppose I will turn this that's inside of a form, this list view into a column, and I come down here, I'll use expanded, and then oops, in here I can use child, we will use a list view builder, list view builder, and in here again we can have something like item count categories dot length. This is just to show that we are getting the categories, our context. Now we have the index, and inside of the index we can just print what? Return list style, title, categories, index. Oops, this is supposed to be inside of a text, and inside of our text we can have categories, index, category. Okay, let's rerun it and see how it goes. You see, we can see that we have these categories here, men, kids, and these are the categories present on our database. So the problem now, it's 100% sure, I'm 100% positive that the problem is getting our categories inside of our drop down button. And is it possible that the issue is in here? for document snapshot category in categories. Okay, let's sorry, let's try to do this in a different way to see if it's going to work. We can do it using for int I is equal to 0, and then we want this I to be lesser than categories dot length, then I plus plus, then items dot insert 0, 0, drop down menu item, for the child you will give a text, categories I category, and value is going to be the same thing. We have the same thing we gave here. We can go back in here. Okay, and now we are going to, okay, let's try to run this again and see if it helps in a way to get our drop down menu working. Oops, did I change it? Okay, before we change, let's make sure our category drop down has items in it. So we'll just print the length just to double check that. Okay, I think it's done. And it still shows 0, which is not nice. Which is not nice. So it shows 077, meaning that we are not really returning any value from here. Oops, this is not nice. Let's try to print the value not being inserted into our drop down item. That's the thing. So let's try to print let's try to print items length. So these are supposed to get 3 7s. This is just a quick way to verify if there are values into an array or not without having to do too much code, and we don't have any value into none of those. This list is empty. That's what's happening. Okay, I have a different plan. I don't understand why isn't this being inserted, but instead of doing that, I will set a state, and here instead of items I'll go directly to category. Okay, and I will return nothing in here. It's just going to be a void method. Just going okay, we will insert directly into categories using a set state. Perfect. So there's no need of doing this. Okay, let's see how well we're going to work. And this gentleman is still getting no items into it. But we're getting the list here. Okay, no problem. I will fix this on the next one. Just this is we have a lot already 40 minutes, and we will make the drop down work perfectly on the next video. We will solve this bug.